Oh boy. Oh boy. It's happening. I'm finally playing Deep Rock Galactic. Oh, it just switched. It's Christmas time. The first thing you'll notice about this is that it's not a tutorial or a guide, or it might not be useful at all, but it is supposed to be a sort of walkthrough. I just need to make sure that this is basically like being a Smurf, isn't it? This is what Smurfs do, right?
The blue kind, yeah.
No, specifically not the blue kind.
Oh.
But the thing is, I need to try and actually force myself to play a bit stupider, I think. This would be difficult, basically. This would be more difficult than it will be for someone to just start normally. So we start the game. And there's a cutscene. That's the space rig, the space station. That's the drop pod. You see me pointing? I'm just pointing at my television. It doesn't help anyone. It doesn't. And look, here we are in the drop pod. First thing you want to do is press pause, go to options, turn view bob and camera shakes off because no one needs that shit. I don't want to be throwing up. Right, that's the first thing you do. Second thing you do is turn your field of view all the way up to 120. The second thing I do is turn the graphics down a little bit. The third thing I do is turn the graphics down a little bit so it's it records better. And this is the pause menu. Next thing is you navigate the pause menu with the bumpers. All right, you understand? If you're on a computer, you don't have to worry about that. But if I hide the face cam, you can see. What's that? That's the miner's manual. Look at it. A lot. Please. For the love of all that is holy. This will help you so goddamn much. That it shows you all of this. Actually, can't actually look at what all the missions are. You have to unlock them. But all the warnings are there. And so is Lithophage Outbreak. Anyway. Where are we? Shallow Grotto. Which is a biome that you'll only ever see in the tutorial mission. And I'm a gunner. Got some tea.
Let's go!
That is not Gunner's voice. And that's the drop pod. You can slap the dice. Subtitle. And sensitivity, because that's terrible. Lord.
Let's get familiar with the basics. Just follow the instructions, and you'll be an elite miner in no time.
Flares! Press B to throw a flare.
Good thing I brought my flares.
1, 2, 3. Mining resources.
Now we're talking.
What the hell is that guy wearing? Anyway, find and mine 20 gold. Easy. This is gold. Oh, this is your laser pointer. Hold LB to whip it out. And you can point to things. And if you press X, I don't know what button it is on the PC, press X, you can set a permanent waypoint. And it will just help you identify things. What's a mineral, what's an enemy, what's common rock. A bit like Metallica. Anyway. And they're actually not a rock band. You like that? I assume this actually translates to actual credits. I think you do get rewards for the tutorial mission, so I will mine all this gold. And the cobweb. If I walk through the cobweb, oh, nothing happens. Well, that's great. That really helps me show things off. I've seen people play this tutorial and get hilariously confused.
Where is that damn dirt patch that...
And you know what?
Isn't
I don't
preferable.
blame them that much. It's actually because the mule, they got hyperfixated on the mule. Basically, it sat down in front of just a bland patch of wall just because it was just sitting down nearby them, just in a random spot. Obviously, because it has a spotlight on it, and you know they're not quite. Oh shit! I just realised I'm not explaining what compacted dirt is. So in most missions, the way you get from room to room is through patches of compact dirt, and if you hold, it's the overlapping squares button on Xbox, you whip out your terrain scanner, which is it's basically just your map, and you can pivot it around, you can zoom in and out, snap to view, and it can also show you what direction you need to dig through the dirt walls to get to the next room. Easy. Sprinting. Oh yeah, sprinting. You know how to sprint. I don't need to tell you how to sprint.
Maybe.
Oh, this stuff. No. Red sugar.
Sugar here, but watch it. It's highly addictive.
For health. As you can see, my health is full. Reversal.
What is this crap they've equipped me with?
It is kind of funny that the first reversal tool they kit you out with is zip lines. Obviously, your gunner. I don't know why. I feel like the one that makes the most sense. I don't know why it feels like it should be the platform gun. I mean, not even just engineer, but honestly, the tutorial should just be a mix mash of all the different classes. Your kit would be funny.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Yeah. Yeah, this is zipline. I have a traversal tool up on the D-pad. I can shoot zip lines. I can move on them. And if you're going on a decline, you can actually boost by pushing forward. Holy shit, more dirt. I just realized I'm doing the pickaxe animation cancelling mine quicker. No, I don't think I need to avoid that necessarily, but this is normal mining speed. It probably doesn't look much different especially to someone who hasn't played before, but primary and secondary weapon. Ethan Gunner. Starting primary and secondary weapon is the minigun. The bulldog.
Well done. You're doing fine. Your
Which is a
objective
revolver.
of this training mission is to find and mine 100 units of morkite. Get to it.
Mine the morkite deposited in the mule. I got this.
Morkite, aka shiny dark blue shit. And this cave.
So scientific name.
No,
Ollie,
I think
hold
the
back
sign,
here.
like what it translates to though, is blue rock.
I need to deposit it.
Like how
Right.
lipophage translates to rock box. But yeah, Morkite. This is a very I guess common isn't really right. You technically only do this in one mission type, but Morkite is a pretty big deal for the in-universe company. It's pretty much the main reason they're there. And it's collected either directly like that or from wells in the on-site refining mission, and we're about to get hacked.
Heading in your direction. It was a pleasure meeting you. Hope you'll get an honorable death.
I don't know what you remember about the tutorial, Tyler, but when the first swarm comes, mission control basically just says, "Yeah, goodbye. You're dead. Nice knowing you." Completely assumes you're gonna die. Anyway, here are bugs or glyphids. And the first thing it tells you to do is throw a grenade. I'll do that,
Get to cover.
and they die
That's all you got, you
because they're weak. I don't even know if this actually has a specific hazard level. Oh look, Minus Manual went straight to the bestiary. Oh, Glyphid Grunt. Have a look at that. Look at him. Look at this handsome fella. Now, something else you might notice about this game is that the music fucking slaps. And I just tried the power attack. I'll explain that later. Can't at the moment though. Can't do it right now. actually a good amount of bugs. I can see someone who's completely new getting quite easy. Oh right, you meant to use the shield generator. Well, I guess I'll show you that. Every class has a support tool. In Gunner's case, shield. I saw someone like saying that this was useless as well. I saw someone on Reddit just like Gunner sucks. He's stupid.
I just knew you had it in you. Incidents like this sadly occur fairly
I feel like there should be some sort of unbiased, factual description of each store for now.
That
There
mission
is.
control guy better bloody lay off me once I earn my place.
I meant from you.
From me. Well, I'll finish the tutorial first.
Shield ready again.
Although it's only just telling you how to use a terrain scanner. Well, I already did that. I'm way ahead of you. Game. So yeah, I mean, the tutorial forces you to play as the gunner, but there are 4 classes.
That's all you need to know.
Shut up, mission control.
Rest of the Morkai
I'm teaching.
Finish the mission. If you forgot something, I don't know how to continue. Check your miner's manual for more details.
Actually, that is important. It does tell you to use the miner's manual, something which it seems about 98% of people just completely ignore.
Finally, a chance to learn the ins and outs of this job at my own pace.
Anyway. So yeah, the tutorial forces you to play as gunner, and you can't actually play it as anyone else unless I'm misremembering, and you can actually go into it as whatever you want. Actually, no, I remember what happened. You can go into it, but it will like as gunner, but it will force you to use whatever minigun and bulldog you have, no matter how upgraded they are. I think you actually take your upgrades with you, but it still forces you to use those weapons. And those are swarmers, pesky little shits, pesky little fuckers. And there's no tutorial for the other classes, which is they've actually fairly recently said that they don't have any plans to expand the tutorial, but I think you should basically have the option. You should like pick your class straight away before you do tutorial, and you just play it, see which one you want, and you can play it over and over again as whatever you want as well. You should be able to, but you can't.
Can't carry anymore.
Don't worry, I'll show you
Need rock
the other
seriously
guys.
to invest in some better equipment.
But for now, just mining more kite.
Depositing.
90 out of 100. Mine some more, put it in. Now we're done.
Good work, miner. You'll be a good fit for our operations, and management will be pleased that they were correct in putting their faith in you. Return to base and let's get you into the fray properly. Press the button on the mule to call in the escape pod.
Yeah, you do what he said. Press the button on the mule to call for the skateboard. That's how you get out. Now,
Pod's on the way.
extraction starts, which is phase of the mission in which, yeah, you've completed the objective. That doesn't mean you succeeded. You might still die. You'll make it back to the pod alive, and you get 5 minutes to do so. And this is also where you hear the best music.
Ugh, air's corner heavy down here today.
Drop pod has arrived. The mule has been called back. Drop pod.
So obviously I'm just running, but you can, what I would recommend to anyone who's new, follow the mule, and it also leaves a trail of like directional lamps. But following the mule is a pretty surefire way to get to the drop pod. Even if it takes ridiculous routes, it'll still tell you, you know, where you need to go. And you use the traversal tools to get around that.
We better hurry.
I realise this also functions as my credentials to show that our Reddit representative is actually me. My Reddit account is Dankshine. Yeah.
Drop pod departing in T-minus 4 minutes.
He's not some shill that we paid to share our videos. Just me. Anyway. Pardon me.
Let's get out of this hellhole.
And then once the mule's reached the escape pod, it will perform this lovely animation that's been there since the very beginning of time. And into the drop pod, and then, or the escape pod specifically, it will open. You slap the dice, and step into the zone, and you leave. You're done.
For the books. Retrieving escape pod.
Whereas the mission name is work instructions, and the mission type is work instructions, and the reward is 150 credits.
So
And here-
tutorial.
Yeah. And here is the mission end screen. Shows you. To be fair, this probably looks fairly complicated to someone who's never played before. It shows you your credits, where the credits came from, all the different things that give credits. Same with XP on the right. Your hazard bonus, which I can't bother to explain right now. But these stats, your actual player stats, from the mission. This is kills. This is how much you deposited. It says it has a pickaxe, but it's actually how much you put in the mule. This is how many times you revived another player. This is how many times you went down. And levels, yeah, not yet. And performance points, which is for the performance pass. It's a free battle pass that you use to get things that are in season.
Hope this day will be better than yesterday.
And we're back. Well, we're not back. We're in the space rig for the first time.
Signing on for Deep Rock Galactic, Miner, and welcome on board. Settle in and get your bearings, then proceed to the mission selection terminal and select your first mission. We're looking forward to seeing you in action.
Okay. Of course, it is Christmas. Ghost Ship is very generous with their Christmas gifts. The gift of multiple assignments that I will not have the time to complete, as well as elves in the missions. I will ignore those for the sake of your sanity. And this is your little cabin. I'm not going to step out the door yet because there's important stuff in here, like the miner's manual just to your right, which I've already shown you, but here's all the stuff that it shows you, how to navigate, how to use ammo. I'll show you nitron resupplies in a bit. All the traversal tools of different classes, the space rig, like what all the different locations are, how gear mods work, how perks work. Ozco, your little AI companion who is with you if you don't have any other, if you're not in multiplayer. How assignments work, combat. Actually, ignore the damage type section. Just ignore it. It probably won't help you. Bestiaries, where you see just entries for all the different creatures that you encounter, of which there are a fair few. I don't know why there's a cave cruiser in here. There was not a cave cruiser in that mission. There might have been a silicate harvester. But definitely maggots. I saw a suggestion that we should be able to toss maggots. Yeah. Agreed. Planetary regions. So far the only one you've seen is the tutorial one. The two that are clear here are the ones that you have access to immediately. You'll have to unlock the rest through an assignment. Same with the mission types. Mining expedition, that's basically the tutorial mission. What it is. There's also anomalies and warnings, which are probably a bit too much for you right now. That's quite patronising. Oh god, that terminal. Good lord. Let's ignore that for now. Character selection. The character selection terminal is probably the most limited terminal in the whole game because you can select your character, you can select your class in basically any terminal. But this is a terminal is 100% dedicated to that and serves literally no other function, which is pretty funny. Here are our guys: the driller, him, he's insane. The engineer, handsome fella. The gunner, he should have a cigar. And scout, dies from full damage a lot. I'll say as gunner for now.
Weigh at least 100 pounds.
Okay. So before I actually go to the rig, I'm gonna look in this horrible little terminal, which is key performance indicators, which is not a terminal name, it's just 3 words. Which shows you all your stats, all this horrible nonsense. Don't worry about that. Milestones, though, these are important. Milestones are just, I think you can understand what milestones are. Like in-game achievements, just do a certain number of things, and you get things. Like complete 10 missions, but once you've done that, it'll go up to like 15, I think. And you've got a lot of these for a lot of different things, and they give you perk points, which are little stars used to buy perks. Wow. I'll explain that later. I realised that for this, I'm just gonna probably just show you around the rig and then play 1 mission as each class, because otherwise this would be ridiculously long. I just realised that I entered the rig very, very unceremoniously, so I'm gonna go back in here. Wow. And the Christmas is the Christmas decorations are a lot of visual noise. Sort of getting in the way of what it's supposed to look like. On top of all the season 3 sort of decorations, the decor, the set dressing. But yeah, this is the space rig. It's like a hub. Not really a hub world. It's more like just one big room. But it's your hub. It's where you do all your ablutions, such as upgrading equipment, customizing your guys, selecting your missions, and getting drunk. That's an important part. At the Abyss Bar. There's a jukebox.
That reminds me of my first love.
Orders from management. Stop dancing and get to it.
Oh, damn it. Literally the only drink I can get is Leaf Lover Special.
Then get no drink at all.
Yeah, that's actually an important bit of advice. Don't drink this. Oh, what is all this? Shut up. Wardrobe. Where you make yourself look nice. Oh look, I got all the Christmas stuff from previous years, but that's it. For some reason, I don't have any of the DLC stuff. I should, but I don't. And that's fine. You got headwear, armor, skin color, all of this stuff that you can change and unlock stuff for. And there's so many different ways of unlocking those different cosmetics. And pickaxe has like an equal number of, well, not equal, but a different number of paths you can get for it and change around and all sorts of nonsense. But I don't think pickaxe cosmetics are that important right now. The equipment terminal is, however, it might be a little bit overwhelming at first. I'm actually going to hide my face cam for this because it covers some pretty important stuff, I think. Such as, you know, that's who you are, that's your class, that's the amount of class XP you have. I should probably explain levels, actually. Your classes all have their own levels. That's the red one. So each of your dwarves, the level that goes up, and once it reaches level 25, you do a promotion, and then it'll reset with a border to show what promotion you're at. But you also have your blue level, which is sort of just your player rank, which will just go up infinitely. And it's made up of 3 sections, and you'll gain 1 section of a player level every time you level up a dwarf. It's pretty simple. Now I've said that, there shouldn't be anyone ever confused about it ever again.
2,000 rounds of depleted uranium.
Anyway,
Oh,
the actual function of the equipment terminal, you customize your equipment both in terms of upgrades and cosmetics. Don't have any cosmetics, don't have enough to afford any upgrades, but every weapon has a lot of this stuff. Every upgrade has a bunch of upgrades. Every weapon has a bunch of upgrades. 5 tiers of upgrades for every weapon. The same for your primary and your secondary. There's also overclocks that you get later on. Once you've got 1 upgrade in every tier, you'll start to get overclocks. Also, once you've done a promotion. Overclocks, that's pretty down the line stuff. You can also customize your pickaxe. There's certain upgrades you can get for it, like power attack, and upgrading that power attack further in the second tier. This stuff here, this is your perks, such as passive perk, which you'll be able to get up to 3 of in total eventually, and active perk, which you'll be able to get up to 2 of in total eventually. There's your flares, which shouldn't really have a spot here because there's no upgrades for them. There did used to be, that's why it has a slot in the equipment terminal. So we've got our support tool, which in this case is a shield generator, which has its own set of upgrades. Same with our traversal tool. You have your grenades, which don't have upgrades, but there are multiple choices for. These are all currently locked, but you'll be able to get those further on. Levels 5, 10, and 15, not too hard to acquire, but they will cost credits and minerals. And your armor rig, which is slightly abstract, but these upgrades will prove very useful. Things like your shield regeneration, increasing your shield. So they have some unique upgrades. Each class has a different upgrade in this slot for their armor. You also have loadouts. You have 6 loadouts per class, and they all can be different. It's just loadouts. I'm sure you understand the concept of loadouts. If you click again, you can choose an icon for them, which is pretty neat. Anyway, classes. So Gunner. What does Gunner do? Well, he's got a big gun. Plays a role of sort of big DPS, big area of effect damage, and also very strong defensively. His main weakness is that he's probably the worst out of the 4 classes at sort of doing the actual mission objectives. He doesn't provide a great deal of utility in that department. He's just great at combat, great at holding his ground. Doesn't really have any weaknesses when it comes to combat, except the fact that his primary weapons slow him down when fired. And that's where that really ends. But of course, Gunner's not the only class. Here is Monsieur Scout. I'll be playing as him pretty soon.
Yeah, I don't so much scout as make this operation possible.
His starting weapons are a assault rifle and a shotgun. His support tool is a flare gun, which is used to light up big areas, and his traversal tool is a grappling hook. Scout's role is sort of, well, he can just get a lot done. The only thing he's not good at really is sort of crowd clearing, but you'll come to realize that is a pretty substantial weakness. It's sort of balanced out by him having really, really powerful traversal. His grappling hook is really good at getting him around, and it's also the only traversal tool that has infinite ammo. He's also has very, very good single target DPS, and so he's good at taking out high priority targets. We'll sort of talk about that later as well. And he has a lot of slowdown and sort of crowd control effects he can inflict. He just doesn't have a lot of explosive sort of wave clearing potential. Driller
It's probably flammable.
has drills. These are his namesakes, so I'll go over those first. Driller just manipulates the terrain and sort of operates in sort of a brawler sense when it comes to combat. Very close range, quite melee focused. His base grenade actually inflicts melee damage, and his drills do as well. A lot of burst damage too with the satchel charges. Very powerful AoE, but not very powerful at long range, but very powerful at mid to close range. Sort of elemental sort of spray weapons like a flamethrower and like a cryo cannon, which you'll get later on. Engineer. Engineer is a class who really can do everything, but not necessarily well, or he can only really do one thing, the thing that you choose for him to do. It's really all about using all of his kit at the same time. Like sentries, it's all about positioning them. They you understand what a turret is. You've probably played Overwatch. And they would attack enemies automatically, but it's all about positioning them, choosing when's the right time to construct them and whatnot. A platform gun, which can be used to it creates platforms that anyone can stand on. So that's really for helping your teammates and you get to where you need to go, or get out of it doesn't really help you in combat, actually, if I'm being honest. Just Engineer is all about sort of using all of his kit at once. Lots of explosive power, decent single target damage. Very difficult to really be brief when it comes to Engineer. But I love him nonetheless.
Just show me what I shoot.
Gunner. is who we'll be starting with. Now, some other things like drone modification, which I could actually buy upgrades for Bosco. I won't. I will be bringing Bosco in our first mission, though. Bosco is basically like your third leg. If, like I said, if you're playing solo, Bosco comes with you. He's an AI drone that can revive you a limited number of times, and he just helps you do whatever you need to do, basically. Although that comes with some direction on your part that you have to give him. Assignment board, not just yet. Shop is a way that you can buy cosmetics, such as industrial goggles. Beautiful. I'm actually gonna... Hello, I'm back. So you have the accessory shop where you can buy a bunch of different cosmetics, including new armor sets. Well, actually, you have all of these categories: sideburns, beard, moustache, eyebrows, headwear, armor, hair color, skin color. Not that for now. Definitely ignore all this stuff for now. Don't even. I'm also not going to go upstairs either. Performance pass. This is a season terminal. Deep Rock Galactic is currently operating on a seasonal model structure. When we get big new content updates every so often, and it's a new season. I'm sure you're somewhat familiar with the concept of seasons. We're currently in season 3. This terminal is the season terminal where you claim rewards. You can see your seasonal challenges. It's a performance pass, aka a battle pass. In this case, it's 100% free as long as you have the game. There's 100 tiers of rewards. It's fairly sparse. You know, you might look at this and think that's quite sparse, and it is in a lot of ways. But as a beginner, I'm sure you'll appreciate all the credits and minerals that you get along the way. And also, these green things are scripts, which are used to advance the cosmetic tree, which is another way of getting cosmetics. It's sort of like one half of the performance pass, but taken away from it and made as something that you can progress through in a way that... What the hell was that? Anyway, so that was the season terminal. Actually, I didn't quite explain all of that. Actually, it's just a season event bonus I didn't explain. Every season has different unique events that if you do, you can get more scripts for, bonus scripts. And then that's that. I want to get into some actual missions though. Right, that's the first one. I was sort of misremembering what the first assignment was. Yeah, but assignments. Right. Assignments are basically just objectives. These are your incentives for playing the game, really. Or more so in-universe incentives, I suppose. There's a lot of different assignments. There's an assignment, on a very basic level, is a string of missions. Set missions, not seeded. All missions in this game are randomly generated. But it's a string of set missions that you do to acquire set rewards. The very first assignment you'll have is Conquer Hoxie's 4. That is by default. And by the end of it, you'll have all biomes and mission types unlocked. Like I said, there are a lot of different... That's a bit weird. Anyway, there's a lot of different assignments that provide a lot of different rewards, including other mission types. But I don't think there's any real point going over assignments that we're kind of a long way from actually getting to. I'm also going to, really because of how simple Gunner is, and I think the tutorial showed enough of him. So, the first mission, actually, selecting missions, this is important. So, you can select your mission from the mission selection terminal, which is sort of presents itself as a hologram of the planet, which you can see out the window. Although, because it's Christmas, there's a candle in it. Ignore that. But you can activate this terminal, or you can press overlapping squares to look at your... Well, it shows you the map again. The map. So yeah, the map. This is Hoxie's 4, the planet that we're on, or orbiting, that you do all your missions on. All of these little sections represent different biomes. Currently, we only have salt pits and crystalline caverns. All the locked things are mission types that we haven't unlocked yet. The only one we have at the moment is Mining Expedition, which is perfect for engineer, I think. Oh. pardon me, difficulty, aka in this case hazard level, which is what we call them in Deep Rock. Hazard 1 is low risk, Hazard 2 is challenging, Hazard 3 is dangerous, Hazard 4 is extreme, Hazard 5 is lethal. Do not start on Hazard 4, you can't do it. If you're very experienced with shooters, you can probably handle Hazard 3. If you're not, don't be ashamed to go lower. Hazard 4 is considered the normal because you get the 100% performance, 100% hazard bonus. It's the most popular difficulty, but you shouldn't start there, and that's fine. We're going to be starting on Hazard 3.
Mission locked in. Powering up the drop pod.
As an engineer,
Cut him off. Cut him down. That's the way.
who starts with a shotgun and a grenade launcher, and his starting grenade is the lure, which I'm sure I'll show off in the mission itself. Let's get right into it. Oh yeah, I mean, starting a mission. Obviously, the tutorial just throws you right into it. But once you've selected a mission, you know, in the terminal, the drop pod, which is, you know, right here, open up. You just walk into it. The countdown will start. Once the countdown's over, start loading into the mission. And you get this lovely animation that I'm not even tired of it, to be honest. It's not like it could ever be annoying, but I'm not tired of it either, which is a bit weird.
Let's go.
Oh, here we are, first proper mission. Don't really know exactly what I need to explain. We are in a new biome, of course. This is probably going to be a bit more,
Mining
yeah.
mission. Deposit your quota of morkite into the mule, and we'll send a drop pod to get you out. Good luck.
This is essentially what the tutorial mission is. We mine Morkite, but in this case we have our secondary objective, which all normal missions have, which is to collect bulo caps. There's a host of different secondary objectives. It goes beyond just picking up things. You also have Bosco. If you hold out your scanner, this is how you tell Bosco to do things. Oh look, you get a Bosco tutorial.
We've provided you with an all-purpose drone nicknamed Bosco. Bosco will assist you on this and other solo missions. You can have Bosco help you check out places of interest. You can mine minerals as well as fight the good fight. Should you be so unfortunate as to go down, he can also revive you. Put him to good use, and he will do half the job for you.
Go, Bosco.
Hold the scanner, press the trigger. It can salute Bosco as well. Now, saluting is very important.
Follow me.
Saluting is basically the game's way of just putting all call-outs that you could possibly need into one.
Rock and stone, brother.
You press RS, right stick, on console. I believe it's V on PC. There's also a bunch of other things I need to show you in this room. So, for example, you can make Bosco attack things like this golden loot bug.
Shoot it.
Loot bugs are very common passive enemies that drop golden nitra. Nitra is
Down.
very important. It's the red mineral. I'll show you some when we actually find solid nitra.
Fire.
It is used to call in resupplies, which replenish your health and ammo, which are it's just an incredibly important mechanic. Here's a tip. Kill every loot bug you see.
I called for Molly. Inventory is full. Wonder what slot they're serving in the canteen tonight.
And of course, now we're in a normal mission, and this is a game that uses a lot of RNG. We'll be seeing a lot more different enemy types than what you saw in the tutorial, such as That lovely fella, Glyphid Nemesis. Nemesis? Glyphid Menace. Actually gonna build my turret. Engineer turrets. Press down on the D-pad.
One sentry gun ready to be built.
Press trigger to put it down. Hold X to build it.
I called for the mule.
Platform gun. Perfect situation for it. Shoot a platform. It goes there. And now I should be able to access this more kite. That menace will probably die eventually to turrets and Bosco will get it, but something like a menace, if we're in a swarm scenario, would absolutely be a priority target.
From me, bug.
So here's some actual nitra, the red stuff. Like I said, arguably when it comes to the actual gameplay, nitra is probably the most important mineral because it lets you call in resupplies.
I can't carry anymore.
A swarm is heading your way. Load up.
Swarm time. So swarms, it's just enemy waves, announced enemy waves. You can get small waves of enemies that aren't announced, but these are the main ones. And I have usually a wide variety. A majority of the enemies will be Glyphid grunts. But there's still a wide variety of enemies you can encounter, and even different swarm types you can encounter. Yeah, that was a Kurona Youngling. They're actually exclusive to the Salt Pits. That's an Oppressor. I did not think I'd be fighting an Oppressor before fighting a Praetorian. So,
This'll lure them away.
Engineer's starting grenade is a lure, which just attracts enemies. It's pretty simple. In my opinion, not the greatest grenade. Because it has health. And it gets killed quite easily.
Don't die.
You have to excuse him.
Good news, team. The wave is thinning out.
So tiny enemies like swarmers is something that the turret is great for. Also, maybe I should explain weak point hits. Enemies all have weak points where they take at least double damage. A lot of cases it's the mouth. Any glowing spots will usually be a weak point as well.
Heads up, miners. You're about to get peppered by lithophage meteor fragments.
So this is an example of what the game can just throw at you. In this case, it's lithophage and meteorite fragments. The lithophage is a sort of a part of the current season's theme, and within one of these meteorites, at least one, you'll see when we get it. Something called a play cart. Here it is. And it will actually infect you with something called rockpox the longer you hold it. And when it comes to actually unlocking seasonal stuff, collect 6 play cards to get a script. That's how it currently works. If you collect 6 play cards, you'll get a bonus script, I should say. And the play cards award performance points by default as well.
My boots! My poor boots!
Almost just moved on without showing you. It's not a good thing to do. Anyway, let's finally actually leave this dining room. Through the dirt wall. Use my terrain scanner to show me where to go. Just, you know, roughly this direction. You can task Bosco, actually, to dig through these walls, if you want. You can make Bosco mine anything, actually. Anything that can be collected. Not everything you see is a mineral that can be, like, picked up. Like, for example, these crystals. They're nothing. They're just terrain.
Where is that damn tin can?
So, this episode is probably going to be the most bulky. I'm pretty much explaining everything I can, but this isn't necessarily for that. This is also sort of just a playthrough for me, starting from square one again. The truth is, on my main account, I'm a very, very high level player. Actually basically beyond max level. Your blue player rank can go up infinitely, but your dwarves levels can't, obviously. There's a cap to the number of promotions that you can do that are still visually represented in game. But, you know, I'm still going on that account. I've unlocked pretty much everything. But this is also functioning as a bit of a fresh gameplay, a fresh playthrough for me of the game, but also a guide for people. So this is a Praetorian. This is sort of the standard tank of the enemy hordes. High amount of health, very strong armor, very big exposed weak point on the back, with acid-based attacks as well. He leaves a death cloud when he dies, and he has a poison spray as his main attack that comes out his mouth.
I like the sound of that. I got the deposit. I popped the loot bug. Let's get the minerals.
Okay, a side effect of the holiday season: presents in the caves that usually just contain glyphid swarmers. But can contain loot bugs. Remember what I said? Kill every loot bug you see. Now for engineer, you can recall the sentry guns by holding down X. You'll need to do this so you can relocate them. Am I missing something? No, okay. That was our first slasher, actually. One of the basic grunt types, but quite deadly. Very powerful attack. Another oppressor. Brilliant. Oppressors do have a weakness to melee damage. If you can avoid their attacks, just pickaxing them isn't a horrible way to fight them. And pickaxe power attacks, once we get into that, are also a very effective way of dealing with oppressors. This is quite a large open room, the kind of place that you want to set your turret up in before you really do anything else. Give it a vantage point with a platform.
Armed and ready. Wally is on the way.
And start mining Morkite. When it comes to swarms, especially when you get into sort of hazard 4 or 5,
This is thirsty work.
the place where you fight a swarm is very important. You don't always have a choice, but when you can, there are specific bases that make the most sense. It's not as black and white as you want to be in open spaces. Open flat spaces are great, but also sort of long, wide tunnels are also fantastic.
Just take your sweet time, old lady. I've got all day. I'm getting too old for this crap. Molly, come here.
We got a hell of a blip heading your way, team. Get ready.
Watch and learn, earthworms.
It's a mystery to me how all these minerals fit inside. Donkey, come here.
Combat positions. The swarm is here.
Why are you looking that way? Turn around. Okay, I don't know what's taking everything so long to get here.
Bigger they are. Reloading. For Carl!
Mactera Goo Bomber. So Macteras are the basic flying enemies. They're distinct from Glyphids, but they're also quite common. A Goo Bomber sort of just functions as sort of a... just throws Goo Bombs at you and slows you down. Alright, we've got a good amount of Nitra. I'm planning on Hazard 3 when I'm not particularly equipped for it. Only in skill, not in actual equipment. So I think I can be pretty generous to myself with resupplies. What the hell?
Resupply arrived. Go restock. Getting supplies. Yes. I need a damn minecart on legs. Where is it? This is a friggin' hellhole. Good times.
So, what I should say is, feel free to mine everything you see what does it actually, what does and does not actually give you stuff. See, most of these things don't. Most things don't. And I'll tell you what does and doesn't as we come across it. But in general, feel free to just whack anything with your pickaxe. It's not a bad way to sort of gain understanding of the environment and what is a collectible and what isn't.
I like the sound of that. I need the mule right here, right now.
Hello. So, some enemies have destroyable weak points, like the bomber. He had two little goose sacks on his underbelly that I destroyed. Destroying weak points that can be destroyed usually deals a good amount of extra damage to that enemy. Like taking out someone's knees. See that? That's a Yuletide elf. I'm just going to direct Bosco to attack it. So, probably sounded quite silly. It's part of the Christmas event that's currently on. This is something that the devs have been doing recently in their sort of holiday events. Adding sort of activities that you can do in missions that give you double season points, season XP.
Secondary objective completed. Now finish the job.
Yuletide elf, you have to basically disable it by killing it. It doesn't really die, it's like a toy. Once you deposit it at the end of the mission, you'll get double the mission performance points. There's a divide between certain performance points. You get a base amount for doing the mission, and you get some for extra things like the play cards that we acquired. The Yuletide elf will only double the performance points from the direct objective, the actual main mission. I'm not too worried about that at the moment.
I should call for the mule. When we get back, it's sandwich time. I made a platform. Platform! Sentry off.
Where'd the mule go? Get over here.
Where is that damn tin can?
Oh, I think I actually got an Enor Pearl without explaining it. So, I'll kill this guy first. So there are a lot of minerals. Some of them are objectives, some of them are crafting materials that are hidden in walls, usually indicated by like specks of that mineral, sort of rising out the ground. In this case, it's an Enor Pearl, which is one of the crafting materials. There are 6 different minerals that you can find. They differ depending on biome.
What is the difference between rock and stone?
They are used as part of the currency that's used to upgrade your equipment and unlock cosmetics and all sorts of gubbins, all sorts of things, including paying for promotions. So as you can see, we've actually completed the primary objective, but for a lot of players, this doesn't really mean that you're done. There's usually, especially in a mining expedition where it's a linear cave, there's usually more. So I could get Bosco to mine that out. There's usually more to see. Potential for there to be events or further rewards, like rewards further down, that you wouldn't get just by doing just the main objective. In this case, there isn't anything else. So actually, you see that orange thing on the map? That's the Yuletide elf that Bosco disabled. I don't want to have to go up there to get it. I also want to resupply because there's a swarm coming. So what I'm going to attempt to do, I think, is drop a resupply down through the elf. That might be completely off. But if it works, then the elf will come down with the resupply pod. And there's another oppressor. So, and actually, the elf came down with it and the resupply hit the oppressor. Now, this isn't a strategy necessarily, but resupplies do a lot of damage if they land on enemies. Also, a note on oppressors, they are meant to be quite big, essentially mini-boss, highly tanky enemies. This is basically the RNG sort of coming into play, where it's decided that this is going to be a mission with a lot of oppressors. That's why there's been like 3 of them, and actually more oppressors than Praetorians. Praetorians are meant to be much more common. More common than oppressors, I should say. Not that there's been too few Praetorians for a mission, there's just been an excess of oppressors.
I hate nature.
The wave is almost over. Wipe out what's left.
So, where's that elf? There it is. Just a fucking little fella. And you just put him in the mule.
Side elf secured. Well done. Double time activated for performance points.
Oh, there you go. Simple as that. Oh, and now we leave.
Good work. Sending in the drop pod.
I'm taking some of the ammo. Reloading.
Me?
Drop pod has arrived. Retrieving the mule. Drop pod departing in T-minus 5 minutes.
So engineer actually has a lot of really great parts of his kit for extraction. Things that sort of take effect without his input. Like the lure, which will keep enemies away from you. The sentries, which will kill enemies on their own. Other grenades, he's got a couple of grenades that serve a similar purpose, are actually much more destructive. And will actually kill enemies.
Watch and learn.
The song we're listening to right now
4 minutes.
is called Robot Getaway. It's basically Deep Rook's anthem. Just have a listen.
Move it.
That's a good example of the mule choosing her own way to the drop pod. Oh shit. This would that.
Minus 3 minutes.
See, that was embarrassing. At least I didn't fall all the way, but now I'm going to have to backtrack. And actually, I'm going to skip right to when I get to the drop pod because the rest of this is probably isn't worth seeing.
Secured.
Hot, hot, hot. I like the sound of that.
We're done
Good work. We're pulling you
with
back
our first proper mission. Still got to do Goodman Scout. And obviously this was an assignment mission. After every assignment mission there'll be some kind of indicator for your progress, and it'll probably it'll also tell you what rewards you may or may not have gotten. Well, no rewards that you don't get. You'll see.
For a new recruit, your performance has proven more than
And now we've unlocked the next mission type, which is Egg Hunt.
on a new mission type. Egg hunts have been unlocked for you on the mission terminal.
No milestones completed, which means no perk points yet. No matter. Anyway, so our next mission is an egg hunt. Back in the salt pits again. I wouldn't have minded showing you the crystalline caverns, but so we don't get a choice. Right. I'll explain the mission once we get into it. But this one will be our scout one. He's pretty good for egg hunt.
Time to light this shit up.
I'd also like to briefly look at go to the bar, because the bar isn't just for getting drunk. So there's something called the daily special, which changes pretty much in between every mission rotation, which is every half an hour. The daily special is a buff drink that is an effect that you take into the mission with you, which will help you in some way. Backbreaker Stout would have been useful because it helps you carry heavy objects faster. Unfortunately, I can't upgrade my beer license. You can collect brewing ingredients in missions. There are barley bulbs, yeast cones, malt stars, and starch nuts. And these will help you upgrade your brewing license. The only one that's actually useful is for the daily special, and if you do this, if you acquire this upgrade, that'll cover all daily specials. And the daily specials cost barley bulbs to actually have. Can't do that right now. And I'm still not going to drink the leaf lovers. Another thing in the space rig, barrel hoop, which I'm not very good at. It's just a mini game. It's like a little basketball mini game. It's quite, it's not bad. Anyway, egg hunt. Let's go. So, maybe I can explain a few things before we actually get into the mission. Egg hunt. You collect alien eggs from in the walls. The amount you have to collect will range from 4 to 6 to 8. There'll be set swarms, which will randomly be triggered by some of the eggs. When it's 4 eggs, there'll only be 1 swarm, but you won't know which egg will trigger the swarm. There's also bigger general numbers of enemies in sort of the unannounced waves.
Remember, leave no one behind.
Alright team, you're going after eggs this time. Alien eggs. Can't miss them, they're big and they glow. Get the eggs to Storm and Molly and get back alive.
Bunch of slowpokes. Ha!
And of course, I'm showing off a different class now. I'm out to has his grappling hook, which is infinite ammo, and it's a very, very powerful traversal tool. And the flare gun, which reduces a large amount of light for a long amount of time. In my opinion, still arguably the least useful support tool, but its use is still obvious. And he also has a assault rifle and a shotgun, double-barrel shotgun, which feels good, but especially without any upgrades, isn't doing a great job. Assault rifle's good though. The GK2 assault rifle recently got a pretty massive buff, and it's a pretty damn good feeling weapon. And our secondary objective in this case is Festive Fleas, which are actually little passive creatures that we have to kill.
Give me some light right here.
Bosco is actually fantastic for this because they move around quite a bit, but he has infinite ammo and he'll always know where to go to find it. So, and he can fly.
Loot bug, open. Donkey time.
Oh, the eggs themselves though are primary objective. That timing wasn't even intentional. Yep, the alien eggs will appear on the terrain scanner. That is absolutely true. That is the main way you're meant to find them. So this is what you find the eggs in. Sorry, this.
Drone, get to work.
If you look on the map, you can see the egg inside it. The rest of them as well. And these Festive Fleas are actually getting on my nerves. Bosco, please.
Bosco, light. Bosco.
Right. So you just dig in, it's very soft to mine, you get the egg out, carry it back to the mule. You can throw objects like this as well, holding RT, and letting go. That was a Mactera spawn, basically the grunt of the Macteras.
Molly carries minerals, and we shoot bugs in mine. Warp life in a nutshell. Bosco! Molly is on the way.
Actually, I will get that nitro. Oh, there's the elf. It's quite dangerous. Let's go, you do it.
I killed a loot bug, and I'm not so proud about it. From A to D, skipping B and C. Took out a loot bug. I'm full. Where's Smalley? Donkey, come here.
Oh, the starting range, the default range on the zipline is pretty not great. You can get it a lot higher than this. So what is it? 20, is it? The maximum? Yeah, 20. Why?
Pop the loot bug. Let's get the minerals. Take care of this.
If you are brand new, I really wouldn't worry about something like the elf. I mean, especially it's going to be gone tomorrow, by the way. Actually, the Christmas event ends tomorrow. But if you're brand new, I'd say your priority should be on getting equipment. Obviously, the performance pass is good, and you don't have to spend your credits on it. So I don't, you know, it's fine for you to want to progress that, but I'd recommend saving all your credits and minerals for actual upgrades.
Attack!
Okay, looks like I'm gonna have to go down there. So this is where Scout comes in handy because of how powerful this traversal is. A large chasm like this doesn't phase me because I can just fall down to the bottom and just avoid any chance of death with the grappling hook on zipline. Oh, a good piece of advice: look out, look up. There are cave leeches, which are basically these horrible little tentacle things that hang on the ceilings, and they'll reach down and grab you. And that's a guaranteed death unless you kill it first, or Bosco can potentially kill it for you. Your teammates can kill them too, and there is a perk that allows you to kill them. But you know, if you've got no means of escaping, they will just kill you. Be very careful of those. I don't know why it's telling me to throw grenades again.
Attack here!
The chance that it might be actually beneficial to turn those hints off.
Covering fire! I got the deposit.
So, when it comes to minerals embedded in walls, here's one we haven't seen yet. Compressed gold. If you've taken any, like, foray into the actual community of Deep Rock, you've probably seen a meme.
Bosco!
Told them letting you keep the gold for yourselves was a mistake.
The We're Rich meme. We're rich. Where that's a call out that you only get if you're playing multiplayer, because in solo, your call outs are Bosco related. But in multiplayer, the voice lines are much more expansive, actually. And when pointing at compressed gold, they'll just say "we're rich" over and over again, which has become a pretty massive, like, permanent meme in the Deep Rock community.
Go, Bosco!
And if your teammates kill you because you deposited the compressed gold, they're bad teammates, but you should ping it at least once.
That's their
Part of the ritual. But don't worry, you're not the bad guy if you just deposit it. But you should ping it at least once.
Transfer to your accounts on mission completion.
resupply ordered.
Combat positions. The swarm is here. Hang in there. Supplies are on the way.
Time to restock.
Oh, hi. Hi, sir.
Inhibitor field up. See you, sucker.
The first grenade that Scout gets is an IFG, which slows down and weakens enemies. So they slow down to a crawl and they actually take more damage. It's great for grouping up enemies and killing a lot of them at the same time.
Your time is not great.
Scanners show the wave is thinning out. Take out the rest of them. Snap.
Ready to kill some more crates. Oh yeah. Just take your sweet time, old lady. I've got all day. Loot bug eliminated. I'm not scared of you. Come here. I hear management.
And also, given that it's a 4 egg hunt, as in we only have to collect 4 eggs in total, there's only going to be one swarm, and we've already done that swarm, so we're in the clear now. Although there will be a small wave of enemies summoned with every egg, it's not necessarily a full swarm. So the IFG grenade is great for grouping up enemies to kill lots of them at once, but it's also great against bigger, tankier targets, so that you deal a lot more single target damage, like
Molly,
with that oppressor.
come here.
I know, I think that's not too bad for a completely unupgraded assault rifle, even on Hazard 3, which isn't high for me, obviously. It might be quite difficult for a very new player, though.
Every time I deposited, I would be a rich dwarf.
This brings back to Bosco briefly. He can do a lot of things for you, including most objectives.
Mine it.
Yeah, so he can mine out the egg if I want him to.
Don't let him flank you.
Egg collection completed. Well done. Pull the escape pod in when ready.
Alright, let's get out of it. That was Scout.
En route. Hang in there.
Getting more ammo. Gotta go fast.
Oh. Yeah, obviously the grappling hook is very good at preventing full damage in a lot of scenarios, and it's just a fantastic traversal tool in general, but mistakes with the grappling hook are what leads to probably the most full damage related deaths. So watch yourself.
Drop pod departing in T-minus 5 minutes.
On pace for the first round. It's past your expiration date. Time to leave. Head for the drop.
successfully retrieved. Make it
Great
snap,
success.
the drop pod won't hang around forever. Retrieving escape pod.
I didn't explain this last time. That's one of the daily challenges that give you performance points for the season pass, the performance pass. You don't have to worry yourself with that too much at the moment, though, if you don't want to. Perfect.
Well done. You clearly know how to use a pickaxe, but do you have what it takes
So-
to handle more heavy-duty mining equipment? Management has granted you access to on-site refining missions.
There we go. So this is actually perfect. So what we've unlocked now is on-site refining as a full-on mission type, and a new mining expedition length, which isn't too important. You know, you won't be thinking too much about that by the end of this. But missions do have varying lengths and complexities, which are the footstep symbol and the I don't even know what you call it. I guess a hazard symbol, kind of. There's 3 slots there, of course, and the more slots that are filled, the more complex the mission is. Like this one is mission length 2 and cave complexity 2. It's also an on-site refining mission, which is perfect to showcase Driller. So this lined up pretty well.
Mission selected. Power
We also have perk points to claim.
on board, team.
For completing 2 missions in the salt pits
More perk points for me.
and completing 2 missions on hazard 3 or higher.
Milestone completed.
If I go to perks now, I can actually unlock something. So we have Field Medic as an active perk, which lets you instantly revive your teammates, and it also gives you a passive of reviving faster. Friendly as a passive perk, which makes you take and deal less friendly fire. Heightened Senses, which gives you an early warning when something's going to grab you, like a cave leech. There are other creatures that grab you as well. Second Wind, which grants you a speed boost after a few seconds. Not a great perk. See You in Hell, which is a lot of fun. It lets you perform like a powerful explosion on your corpse if you've gone down, which helps your teammates revive you, and it also gives you a passive melee damage bonus. Thorns
Perk obtained.
is a passive perk, which makes you deal damage to enemies that hit you directly. It does have a cooldown though, but it's great for handling, the little shits like swarmers. Though not necessarily massive amounts of them. Obviously now I'm going to be playing it as Driller.
For breakfast.
He's got massive drills which can just drill directly through most types of terrain, or actually any type of terrain that is terrain. He can't drill through minerals, and he can't drill through, hardware. But the actual rock, any kind of rock, he's got it. So he comes by default with a flamethrower, which is great, sort of mid to close range crowd clearing with damage over time, and a semi-automatic pistol, which is, yeah, it is the weakest weapon, but it's just meant to be a very basic sidearm, and it complements the flamethrower quite well. It also starts with impact axes, which are definitely the best starting grenade in the game. Given that you have 8 of them, they deal melee damage and are actually retrievable if you miss. I'm sure I'll be able to show you that in action. Let's get right into it. On-site refining is the mission type where you collect liquid morkite. There are wells of liquid morkite dotted around the cave that you have to call in pump jacks for, and you have to hook the pump jack up to the refinery via pipelines. And sort of the idea of the mission is building pipelines and then defending them, if you want to simplify it. But the building pipelines part involves a lot of using your traversal tools, understanding the terrain, where's the best place to build the pipelines and what have you.
Get ready to
It's also the first mission we'll be playing where you don't have the mule. There are 2 of these. It's on-site refining and point extraction. In this case, it's the refinery itself is where we actually would be depositing our minerals.
Located several huge deposits of liquid morkite. To extract it, we're sending in a refinery for you to set up. Locate the wells of liquid morkite, set up
So,
pipelines,
here we are.
and
This is a mission that can often have quite large amounts of enemies. like straight away. Like for example, we're getting quite a few Macteras just right off the bat.
Kill or be killed.
So, where is it? This is a Hooli Hoarder, which is like a passive creature that will flee from you if you engage it. I'm not going to be able to kill it, but if you do, it drops a lot of minerals. So actually would have been quite useful for me. Anyway, the Liquid Morkite. So if I were to sow the drills, just drill through terrain very effectively.
Have to wait for flare recharge.
And actually, I'll explain this secondary objective first. So our secondary objective in this mission is Ebo Nuts, collecting Ebo Nuts, which are these things.
Some Lloyds.
Thank you, Bosco.
Here.
And you have to mine the shell and then pick up the nut. Yeah.
Ordering.
And then deposit it. So what I just did now though is ordered a pump jack at a Liquid Morkite well, and we'll have to hook that up to the refinery, which is sort of our base of operations in this mission.
Pump jack's here. Let's get it hooked up to the refinery. Precious minerals. It will get you killed. Oh. A pop to loot pump. Let's get the minerals. Oh, I can't carry anymore.
Oh, now that is a cave leech. It's my one shame, despite how high level player I am on my main account, that I get grabbed by cave leeches ridiculously often.
Stand clear. Pump jack inbound.
Loot bug popped.
So like I said, this is one of the missions where you don't have a mule, and you'll be depositing on the refinery itself in these deposit points. Don't worry, I know he's there, I'm just not worried about him. So I'm trying to get to this offshoot room where I know that the final Morkite well will be. See how my faith has been rewarded.
Help me mine this. Oh. Loot bug opened. We need a pump jack here.
Pump jack requested and is inbound.
Loot bug.
So now all the pump jacks have been called in. The next step is to build pipelines from the refinery to the pump jacks.
Sorry, little bug. Your own fault.
Keep in mind we've only played on one biome so far, the salt pits. There's, you know, quite a few different biomes. I actually don't know the exact number. All with different sort of variations of terrain, all different hazards that you can encounter, and that will affect the way missions play out. And there's also just a basic cave-like terrain generation. The actual shapes can be extremely different from mission to mission, even within the same mission type. And that's where a lot of the variety comes from. A combination of a lot of different randomized factors.
Down it goes.
I'm aware of what support tool is. In this case, it's a satchel charge, which is just a high explosive. Very basic. Some of us actually have criticisms of the satchel charges, which I do agree with, actually. I think they could be a more complex
More to go.
more nuanced piece of equipment, but nevertheless they serve a very clear purpose.
No flares.
So this is building pipelines. You go from here to your pump jack of choice. And you do have to construct the actual pipelines along the way, or usually once you're done. You can make Bosco do this part though. The actual frameworks though, the sort of the shape of the pipeline, that's up to you.
Segment up.
And there's a maximum length that you can go to of each segment. There's certain angles that you can't necessarily build at. Lots of things to take into account. Lots of things that traversal tools help you overcome, especially the platforms and the drills.
Well done. Pipeline successfully established.
Now I'm not going to get that other Evo nut because I have 3 out of the well, I've deposited 11 out of 14 so far, and I have 3 in my inventory, which means I have enough.
Terrors, a whole load of them heading your way. Get ready.
That's an example of a different type of swarm. This example is just Macteras. It'll be a swarm just made up of Macteras. Pretty self-explanatory.
Nicely done, team. You secured yourself a nice bonus.
Macteras are quite weak to fire and also precision weapons, so Driller is actually quite good against Macteras in general.
Whoosh. Die, monsters!
Anyway, I'm not that scared. I'm just going to continue building pipelines. Unless that's a Trijaw. No, a Brundle. The Brundle is like sort of the glyphid guard of Macteras. It's just heavily armoured. Not too strong offensively, but represents a persistent threat because of how much more tanky it is than the other Mactera.
Is practically eradicated, and you're still alive. Well done.
Go lie down forever. Right here.
This is an example of terrain actually making the mission more difficult because building these pipelines is actually quite tedious because of how the terrain is formed.
Ready to blow.
So I'm actually going to clear out some of this with a satchel charge. Hear that? Rumbling in the darkness? It's a meteorite.
Lithophage meteorite fragments are about to...
Oh, fragments again. That's actually good because it's just the small ones. You can get full-size meteorites and that's more of a significant event. For this video, I don't mind just getting small ones. It's actually better.
Got no flares ready. It'll be a beauty once it's complete.
I'm actually going to have Bosco start constructing this.
Help me build. You're cute, but you're dead.
So a couple rules for this sort of walkthrough slash playthrough. I can't unlock anything or complete any assignments while I'm not recording.
Pipe framework.
So I can grind for minerals and just credits if I want to, but pretty much any significant activity I cannot do
I die a little
unless it's going to actually be in an episode.
to take out a new one. Can't carry anymore. Yeah!
You might notice the world getting darker. That's because we're in England and it's 4 p.m. Well, I'm in England.
Pipe construction here. Fun ride. No, the flares are recharging.
Second pump jack connected and ready to pump. You're doing well.
Right, this is a very short one. This final pipeline. And we can retrieve the axes. So the axes can actually be used to destroy certain things in the world, and they don't get used up. Like, for example, an Evo nut shell I could easily destroy with an impact axe. I could just destroy the whole thing itself. I didn't actually know you could do that. Now, I know this isn't all of the meteors because at least one of them will have a plate part in.
All lights read green. Pipelines and pump jacks are all in place, and the liquid morkite is waiting. Return to the refinery and start up the pump sequence.
Right, the pump sequence. Now that we've actually completed all of the pipelines, we start the second half of the mission through this button, which means they start actually pumping the liquid morkite, which will attract enemies. There'll be breakages along the pipelines that you'll have to fix
The liquid morkite is being extracted.
on a couple of occasions.
All pump jacks are working at full capacity. Be warned, the noise will draw in the locals, so stay on your toes and do what you can to protect and maintain the equipment. Lock and load, team. Swarm incoming.
Okay. Oi, bugger off.
Not ready yet. Impact axe.
Liquid morkite is being extracted.
Okay, I don't think there is actually any more meteorites, but that doesn't make any sense, because there has to be one with a play cart, or at least as far as I know. Guess not. Maybe not. Maybe I was wrong.
Malfunction along the pipeline. Maintenance crew, to work.
So now there's breakages. You can see which pipelines have the brakes on by which ones are flashing red. Yeah, pretty simple. Travel along the pipeline. Oh, you can grind on the pipelines, by the way. That's what the grind thing is. It's you like skating on it, basically, like a roller coaster. Really great for traversal, a lot of fun, and actually useful. It's not just 100% a gimmick.
R&D did good with the pipe riding. Die, you double-jointed freaks! Die!
Pipeline repaired, but other pipelines are still malfunctioning.
Why do we even bother walking?
There's also another thing that you can task Wasco to do. Yeah. He should fix all of the breaks along a single pipeline if you direct him to.
Bugs, get ready. We're halfway through the pump sequence. Liquid morkite is being refined.
Oh shit. Alright, bulk detonator time.
Are on the
quite special enemy. Not a boss, just a big fella. A big, explodey, very deadly guy. With 3 destructible weak points, essentially. He will insta-kill you if you get too close. And upon dying, he'll basically explode like a nuke.
At 75%, the cargo rocket is almost full. Okay, we got a problem with the pipelines. Fix it to keep the extraction running.
I was hoping we'd encounter one of these today. Right, now I've got to get away. Because he does that. And I'm going to take a resupply now.
Getting more ammo. Red sugar. Here I go.
So in the context of on-site refining, the number of breaks along the pipelines will actually increase with the number of players.
Well done. All pipelines are fixed, and the refinery is purring like a kitten once more.
Best way to make a living.
We got company. Incoming swarm approaching you.
Bring the pain.
Pump sequence completed. All the liquid morkite has been refined, and the cargo rocket is loaded and awaiting your go. Press the launch button when you're ready.
Now we're done with the extraction. Well, the Morkite extraction. We begin the actual extraction. Although on-site refining doesn't have much of an extraction phase. The refinery will just fly up, or the actual Morkite itself will, the rocket. And then in about a minute, the drop pod will come down. There's no real wait.
Well done. Cargo rocket is returning to orbit. We're set.
This also, you don't have to wait for the meal to actually get into the drop pod for it to open. That's one of the big positives. Okay, I'm definitely going to want that Enor Pearl.
With the mineral.
I'll have Bosco get it because I'll be able to survive without him. It's fine.
Drop pod departing in T-minus 3 minutes.
Die.
Right, now the drop pod's here.
Taking some of the ammo.
I need to make a run for it. Another thing that's in the context of on-site refinery, oftentimes the drop pod will be near one of the wells. Oh, there's another Enor Pearl. Which means you can usually ride one of the pipelines to it quite simply. Although sometimes, like in this case, the drop pod has chosen to be somewhere quite annoying. Right, hold on, I know what to do. And if you fail to deposit anything in the normal deposit points, well, first of all, anything that's in your inventory will actually go towards your sort of actual inventory outside of the missions. If you leave the mission with it in your inventory, if that made any sense. And there are also deposit points on the drop pod, which you need. If you want to take heavy objects with you, you have to put them in that. Otherwise, they won't count.
I need you here.
Bosco. That's a lot of enemies. Alright. Get off. Come on, man. Don't do this. Don't need the embarrassment. Nope. Thank goodness. All right, now we can leave.
Actually doing all right. Explosive.
Pod departing in T-minus 1 minute.
And that was Driller. Let's see how dark it gets when I close my blinds.
Traction commencing. Good work.
Did that actually get clearer? I can't quite tell. Anyway, that was Driller, and that was an on-site refining, and that was the first episode of How to Deep Rock. What did we do? We went through the tutorial. I briefly showcased each class, and I explained a lot of the terminals in the space rig, and that was it. But that's all you need to know to get started on a very basic level. Next week we'll be doing the rest of that assignment, conquering Hoxie's 4, and actually going through weapon mods, unlocking some, using some, that kind of thing.
In recognition of your performance, your security level has been upgraded. You've been granted access to new regions of Hoxie's. Congratulations, Miner.
Now we've access to 2 new biomes, some of my favourites actually. Well, the radioactive exclusion zone is my favourite, but we now have access to the fungus bogs. Wonderful, a lovely place. But that will have to wait until next week. Thank you so much for watching. This will be a limited series, as in it's not like a lot of other series which can basically go on indefinitely. But it'll probably be around for a while. I'll be doing this as often as I can, like every Wednesday that I can. And it's a way for me to experience the game through sort of from a beginner's perspective, you know, because so much has changed since I started playing. Since I was a beginner, there was like less than a quarter of the content we have now, probably a lot less than that even. And it's also a way for me to really show people just how to get things done, I guess. I hope I did a good job at showcasing the game in a way that maybe you can see how I played the way I did, and it wasn't too, like, you know, didn't look too inaccessible. But yeah, I mean, if you're a frequent viewer, if you're one of our subscribers already, obviously thank you for watching. But if you're new, if you're a new player, or if you haven't played the game before, please let me know, and if this was helpful. I'm going to do it regardless, I think. It's not explicitly meant to be a tutorial. But it'd be really cool if it could function as that. And I think, you know, like I said, it's not exactly meant to be a tutorial. All the stuff I've been saying is really sort of me almost talking myself through the beginning of the game to try and get a beginner's understanding of it. But yeah, I'm sort of I'm just delaying ending this. I don't want it to be ridiculous. I mean, it's quite long. But that's just how it was always going to be. Either way, thank you so much for watching, and please make sure to, if you like this, please make sure to rock and stone, and by rock and stone I mean like and subscribe. God, I can't tell if that's cringe or not. Maybe pointing it out isn't the right thing to do. Thank you guys. See you tomorrow.